What's going on, yo? It's another day on the Day One podcast. I'm your co-host, Anthony. I got my co-host, Kyle. Say what's up. What's happening, y'all? Let's get this shit going, baby.
Hello. Does this work? Oh yeah, it does. All right, bet. We're on. We're live. Okay. Sorry about the technical difficulties. Last time we came on here and we're talking our shit. I went through the whole podcast and didn't even realize we had no audio. So I'd open the show before we even got into anything. I just had to make sure that the audio worked. Couldn't do it without going live, so here we are. But before we get into anything, what's going on, y'all? It's another day on the Day One podcast. I'm your co-host, Anthony. Once again, no co-host, Kyle. Lowe's, man, hey, y'all doing me dirty this playoff run, not letting my guy be out here. But it's okay. We're going to hold it down for what could be the greatest Super Bowl to ever live. The NFL season is coming to a close, but not without a bang. So before we get into the proceedings tonight, we're going to talk about, championship weekend, both games, great games. We're going to start tonight with a bit of a toast. We're going to have a celebratory moment for the two teams that have made the Super Bowl. My Philadelphia Eagles, second time in 3 years, versus the Kansas City Chiefs, who have been in it damn near every year for the last 7 or 8, attempting to go for the three-peat. So I'd like to take the celebratory drink of apple juice in my Daytona shot glass. It's a shot of apple juice before anybody says anything. This is to commemorate the season that we've had, the ups and downs, Kyle telling me that my team is going to fall flat on our ass. And for us to get back to this point where we started our podcast 2 years ago, I don't think anybody except myself saw the Philadelphia Eagles making the Super Bowl. And for us to lose in such tragic fashion the way that we did. To collapse last year after starting 10-1, losing 6 of 7, having the we can be had defense. Literal bottom 5 stats out of the entire NFL. Deshaun Desai, Matt Patricia, Brian Johnson, debacles that may be for us to get burnt by Tampa Bay in the wild card round. And for all the work that we did this offseason, bringing in arguably the greatest free agent running back in Eagles history, arguably the best free agent in Eagles history, Saquon Barkley. Bringing back C.J. Gardner-Johnson, my dog. Bringing in what I could never imagine in my wildest dreams. A special team third down rotational pass rusher in Zach Bond, turning into a Defensive Player of the Year finalist, being first team All-Pro on my team as a linebacker, an inside linebacker on my team with Vic Fangio at DC, Kellen Moore at OC, Nick Sirianni at head coach. This is a guy that I wanted fired. And here we are. He's doing things Andy Reid couldn't do here. 2 Super Bowls in 3 years. I present a toast to the Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts Philadelphia Eagles. Let's go finish the job. Cheers, boys. Oh, yeah. That's some winning apple juice right there, baby. Let's go. Hell yeah. Shout out to Kyle, wherever you're at. Wherever you guys are. Take a celebratory shot of your favorite juice. Live on the program. For good time's sake. Well, drop a like. Subscribe. Do all that stuff. Don't mind the cough. I'm going to try to muscle through it as much as I can. I'm coming off of being sick. So yeah, let's get into the proceedings tonight, shall we? The NFC and AFC championship games were just finished last week, yesterday, and we have 2 contestants for Super Bowl 59. So let's look at these games. Starting with the one on the top. The Philadelphia Eagles beating the Washington Commanders 55-23 in the Link. Now, it's been a minute since we've been on the program, talking football, talking ball. Let's just talk about it where we were the last time we had the mic and the waves were live. Detroit Lions were the number 1 seed. They were about to be the number 1 seed. And we were trying to figure out, well, how can the Philadelphia Eagles get the number 1 seed? Well, they did not. The Detroit Lions got it. The Eagles were the number 2 seed and had to play that first round of the playoffs against Green Bay. And Washington, they beat the Eagles in Washington. Say what you want about that game. Jalen Hurts started it, but very quickly went out with a concussion. Kenny Pickett played, valiant effort, but fell short in the end. Washington beat us, and that pretty much punched their ticket to the playoffs. We've been brewing on this one for a minute because I was like, listen, I want Washington in the first round. We're putting hands and feet on them. We didn't get that because Washington, they kept winning. The Cardiac Commanders were playing good. Jaden Daniels, greatest rookie quarterback season in NFL history next to Andrew Luck. And they did their thing. The Commanders are due a ton of credit for the strides that they took. They are very early. They're way ahead of the curve. This is a team that won 4 games last year, and to be 1 game away from the Super Bowl is crazy. Deserves a lot of credit. But, Eagles won the first round of the playoffs against the Packers. I was there. Commanders beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in dramatic fashion on the road in the first round. Second round comes Eagles against the Rams in Philly after taking care of the Vikings, which, listen, I said they were fraudulent all year. Give me my due. Give me my respect. I know Kyle talked some shit about Sam Darnold, and honestly, I was trying to push the agenda on him because he's former Jet quarterback, but Kyle knows Sam Darnold's fraudulent, and that's what happened when the lights got bright. He was fraudulent. Move on to the Rams game. Greatest game I've ever seen live. Snow Bowl. Saquon Barkley taking over. 2 house calls in the snow. Jalen Hurts had a house call. It was a movie. The defense was playing lights out. And this is the thing about this Eagles defense. In December, right around that time when we played Washington, when Jalen Hurts got concussed, that defense was starting to force some turnovers. And it was telling, that first week in Brazil against the Packers, they had so many turnover-worthy plays that it was like, holy crap. If we just capitalize on half of these, we would be beating the brakes off these guys. We get down late in the season. Those plays start turning in our favor. We end the season +2. We didn't end the season yet. We go into the Super Bowl +21 in the turnover margin. In the turnover battle, we are +20 after being -6 at the bye week. Shout out Vic. shout out my Zen master. But yeah, we took care of business against the Rams. Sorry, I'm all on a tangent here. Trying to wrap us back to speed up to Super Bowl Sunday. Took care of business in the snow against the Rams. Kyle's big happy-go-lucky team. We ended that happy-go-lucky story. And then the Commanders doing us the ultimate solid. The ultimate solid. We've said this on this program. Detroit is the number 1 team in the NFC. If the Eagles have any chance of going back to the Super Bowl, they have to go through them. We're going to have to match up with them at some point, whether it's, first, second, third round of the playoffs. It's going to have to happen. And when they got the number 1 seed, it was like, all right, well, we're going to have 2 home games, and then we're going to Detroit to take care of business. And I honestly believed we could still beat Detroit. It's just, their offense is very explosive. They're an aggressive style team. The running game is very hard to stop with David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs. Monty gets hurt, comes back, isn't himself. And the defense, those injuries catch up. And the scheme kind of catches up too. They were very, very aggressive, blitzed a lot, played a lot of man. They really didn't have the personnel to kind of warrant that style. And the Commanders had their way. They had their way, and it was like, holy shit. Who would have thought this team, with Jaden Daniels throwing to De'Ami Brown, Terry McLaurin, a 31-year-old Zach Ertz, or 34, however old my dog is. Shout out Zach Ertz, career resurgence in Washington. Hate we had to do it to you. Going to Detroit. This is the toughest place to play in the NFL. Detroit, the Ladd House, the Ford House. They get their asses beat. They almost got 50 hung on them by Washington. The Washington Commanders put up 45 on Detroit. All set up for this, an NFC East divisional matchup to send whoever to the Super Bowl. I didn't want it any other way. I hoped for this. I manifested it. I said, y'all don't want it. I do. Y'all don't want it, but I do. Sure enough, that happened. I said, oh, it's a wrap for these boys. It's a wrap for these boys. They're on borrowed time. I said Detroit was on borrowed time. Nobody was on borrowed time more than Washington. It was clear. They were a playoff team, and they exceeded expectations for sure. I thought they were going to be a lot better this year than what they were. I thought they were a borderline wild card team. They were. The record was a little bit better, and hey, they made the playoffs. They made a big run, and I was like, that's great. Jaden Daniels, offensive rookie of the year, cool. That shit ends today. This week, that shit ends. All the feel-good stories, that shit ends in Philly, bro. That shit ends here. Brocky, Kate, the Minneapolis Miracle, Brocky. Sorry, I can't fucking count. The Minneapolis Miracle, Case Keenum, that shit ended 38-7. Brocky, they tried to take over Philly with 54 people on a Facebook group. Body. And now this guy, Jaden Daniels, offensive rookie of the year, the Commanders fans coming out the woodworks for the first time in 32 years. My brother has been alive his entire existence, and the Commanders have not done shit until this year. They haven't sniffed the NFC Championship game since my older brother above 30 has had his entire lifespan up until this point. That's how long it's been for Washington fans. A whole 3 generations have passed. Bill Clinton wasn't even the president the last time they won the Super Bowl. That's beyond the point. The point is, they were on borrowed time, and they knew it. I knew it. Kyle would have tried to tell you otherwise, but this is why I'm here to tell you guys the real. So, we come into Philly. They come into Philly. They don't know what's about to hit them. They've struggled to stop our run game all season long. The defensive coordinator comes out, is like, oh, well, Jalen Hurts, we got to hit him like a running back. If they want to play him like that, we're going to play him like a running back. Make you want to stay in the pocket and not throw. Bro is scared. He don't want us to run. Guess what we're going to do? We're going to run the fucking football. Saquon Barkley, first play. The Washington Commanders got the ball first, right? 18-play drive that spanned 6 minutes. They went for it on fourth down 3 different times. They converted. Then they got to the red zone, had another chance at a fourth down. They're like, you know what? I'm good. I'm going to take the field goal. I'm going to take the field goal. They took the field goal. They took 3. We tried Saquon Barkley ass out there. First play, house. Tud. 60 yards. 18 seconds is all it takes for us to score a touchdown. That's it. And that set the tone for the game, man. What an electric run that was by Saquon Barkley. He's been electric this entire season, this entire postseason. What more do you want? Hold on a second. I'm gonna cough. Sorry. And when we signed him back in March, I knew this was possible. I said, shout out to me. He could run for 2K behind this offensive line. Kyle's like, nah, bro. It's like, okay, you know what? They might not use him like that, but there's potential. 2,005 yards. He is 30 yards away now from breaking Terrell Davis's single season rushing yards record, regular and postseason. 30 yards away. 30 yards away. And he's going to do it in the Super Bowl. You can run on the Chiefs defense. You can. We can. So, yeah. First play for the Eagles. Saquon. House. Goodbye. Sayonara. And then, the defense holding up. Zach Bond punching the ball out. Forced fumble. And then Jalen Hurts walks on the field. Disrespected as fuck all year. And what does he do? He starts throwing that son of a gun all over the map. Not all over the map because he was 20 for 28, but bro was slinging it. The straight jacket was off, self-proclaimed. It was a beauty to see. When you needed it most, he delivered. He delivered 20 of 28. Well, I think it was like 230 something passing yards, a passing touchdown, 3 rushing touchdowns. Masterful game. We just dominated the Commanders. We were the better team. And the crazy thing is there was a point in time where it was 14-12, like, a couple minutes left in the first half. We go for it on 4th and 5. Go ball to AJ Brown. I was like, holy shit, we haven't seen us just run an AJ Jalen go ball for 3/4 of the year. It's like, do they still know how to do this? Absolutely they do. We just decided not to pass all season. And you know what? We saved it for the best time of the year. We'll put it on film. That's the thing about this Eagles team, the potential with Saquon Barkley. We've seen what this running game can be. We've seen it. Saquon Barkley put up a historic season in the regular season. It's still going. But through the first 17 games of the season, historic. The 2K club is open for Saquon Barkley behind our O-line. But, the passing game was left to be desired from Kellen Moore. The lack of utilization was a big talking point amongst a lot of people. And, probably including Kyle if he was still here. But guess what? He's not right now. It's me. It didn't matter because we were winning games. And you always knew with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert when he's healthy, Jalen Hurts, he's shown you in the past he can throw the ball. Why make things more complicated than they have to be? You had this guy having this historic season. Why are we going to be like, oh, well, but Jalen Hurts needs to throw for 30 times? No, he doesn't. He threw the ball all over the map, still didn't hit 30 attempts. Still did. He sniffed it, but he didn't hit 30. Jaden Daniels nearly threw 50 passes. Threw like 40 or something like that. Didn't have to do it. So with the Eagles, it's that interesting thing. Like, yeah, this is probably the best team in the NFC, but, schematically, there leaves a lot to be desired because, we just haven't been using the pass game. And now we come out this game, start with that run game, and then, the pass game works. It was a magnificent, it was like a Picasso painting, Kellen Moore. A Kellen Moore masterpiece. An artwork. This is what happens when you don't have fucking head coach interviews during the postseason. And now he's flying down to New Orleans early. I'm tight. I hope he's not Jonathan Gannon 2.0, but all of the conspiratorial signs are not pointing that way. Thank God. Lock in, bro. Lock in. He was locked the fuck in. He was in his bag. And I commend Kellen Moore for the job that he did on Sunday against the Washington Commanders, exploiting that man coverage. Marshawn Lattimore, Benjamin St. Juice, Mike Sanders still, rookie, great rookie. He's been playing good. They're all food. They're all barbecue chicken. Licking my chops. They are food. All of them. Kellen Moore exquisitely took advantage of that. We saw fucking pop passes to Devontae Smith like jet motion. When's the last time we saw the Eagles run jet motion? Like, we're in our bag. Dallas Goedert had some pop pass. He was on jet motion too, bro. Kellen Moore was deep in the bag. And I think this is the thing that, a lot of people leave to be desired. These creative ways to get our top skill positions integrated in the offense. But they did it. They did it. And we routed the Commanders. Dominated them on all sides of the ball. Offense, defense, special teams. Shout out Will Shipley getting the forced fumble, getting rewarded at the end of the game with the garbage time TD that sent him to Good Morning America. Shout out to you, Shipley. Shout out to you, bro. What a game. What a game. This was 38-7 adjusted for inflation. 55-23. This is the most points I've ever seen the Philadelphia Eagles put up in my years of watching. I don't think I've ever seen us. I wasn't watching the Eagles as closely when we put up 50 on the Commanders Monday Night Football with Michael Vick and the boys. I started watching, right after the 4-12 Andy Reid. Really started watching with, Nick Foles and Chip Kelly. So, I didn't see 50. But we put up more than we did that night. I've never seen us put up 50 plus. We hung a 50 burger on Washington. We almost hung a 60 burger on them. It got so bad. You want to know how bad it? You don't want to know how bad it got for Washington? It got so bad. The referees were about to hand out touchdowns. When have you ever seen them? Yeah, we're just going to award the touchdown. It got so bad the refs were like, you get a touchdown, you get a touchdown. Everybody gets touchdowns. Shout out to the Commanders for getting here, but y'all were on borrowed time. Y'all weren't supposed to be here. You were ahead of the curve. And shout out to you. You got some great momentum going into the next season. But guess what? Enjoy those drinks in Cancun. Enjoy the umbrellas and your pina coladas in Cancun. We get the Super Bowl suite. Y'all with the rest of the riffraff. Hey, I love my hot tub at 103. Get it warmed up. Get my seat warm. I'm going to see y'all in 3 weeks. When I'm bringing some hardware to Cancun, bitch. Man, what a game this was. And that was a crazy sequence where the refs were like, you keep this up, we're just going to award the score. I mean, I wanted Frank Louvu to keep jumping over the pile when I heard that. I listen. I've seen I know a lot of weird rules. I've been exposed to a lot of weird rules over the last year or two that are in the NFL. That is one I did not know was in the rule book. And it is. I forget what section, subsection, whatever. I heard it. It's in there. It's in there. If you delay the game so much that the referees can award a score. I never heard of that. Don't tell Pat Mahomes that. Don't tell him that. Y'all just opened a can of worms. Nah, I'm just kidding. We're on the goal line, so it made sense. There's only so much you're gonna gain from encroachment and offsides as much as that was happening. I mean, we moved a yard and a half in 3 minutes. But that was crazy. It got so bad the NFL was just about to hand us points. Sorry, Washington. We just got to give it to them. How emotionally deflating does it have to be for the NFL to be like, listen, we're just going to give the other team the points, whether you like it or not. You can keep playing games, but we're just going to give it to them. Oh, man. Jalen Hurts had a great game. Best game of the season, I would say. Again, 20 of 28. Threw for a touchdown. He made throws that, we have it. That was like Super Bowl Jalen Hurts. the window throws that he was making. Hey, he said it. They kind of took the straitjacket off. Here we go. And that's what has me excited going into this Super Bowl, because we know what this run game can be. We don't know, with the run game being as good as it is, how this pass game can be complemented with it, with the targets that we have. And Dallas Goedert was a huge X factor in why. He's he's solidifying himself a bag. He just needs to stay healthy. And I don't know if that's here. I hope it is, because I love Dallas Goedert. We drafted him, but health's a big thing too, and he's 30. But that's a conversation for another day. Shout out the Philadelphia Eagles, NFC Conference champions. I don't have the updated shirt, but I have this one. I wore it loud and proud. Here we are on the doorstep of Lombardi number 2. I tell you guys all the time. Listen, I have this one. I have this one right here. It's great. It's sweet. I need me 2. I need me another one. It gets lonely at night. I need 2. It gets lonely for that boy at night. I need another one. Finish the job this time. One more. Job not finished. One more. Can't believe we're here. After last year, man, it's crazy. I cannot believe we're here. Shout out to Howie Roseman. Shout out to Jeff Lurie, Nick Sirianni. They did a hell of a job. And, for Jalen Hurts as a quarterback, you get the 2 Super Bowls in 3 years. We need to stop this disrespect to Jalen Hurts. Oh, because the stats don't look the way I want them to look. They're not winning the way I want them to win. Jalen Hurts came out and said, I don't care about the stats. I care about winning. And that's the main thing. This is what drives me nuts, and this is what has corrupted the minds, the establishment of advanced analytics, fantasy sports, sports betting, all of that. The establishment has corrupted your minds into thinking if this guy does not have 200 yards passing, he's ass. If he doesn't throw for 35, 40 passes, he is ass. He can't do it. That's not the case. He showed in this game you can do it. Sure, if you really want to nitpick, and every quarterback has this, there's a throw or two in games where you want to have it back. That happens. It's not like it happens every time. And the most important thing is, sure, you might miss those plays, but are you costing your team the win? I could think of 1 or 2, maybe 3 scenarios where, protection broke down, Jalen Hurts couldn't get rid of it, or, he was a little late just pulling the trigger on a pass. He felt like it was a bit too dangerous. Go ahead and look at that score down there and tell me if that impacted us winning the game. You tell me. Tell me. Did that help or hurt our chances of winning the game? 55-23. You tell me. I don't know. I don't think. I would say no. It did not. It didn't fucking matter. It didn't matter. So he needs to y'all need to chill the fuck out when it comes to Jalen Hurts. Because these guys that everybody says are better than him, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott, motherfuckers were saying Sam Darnold. Guess where they all are? Cancun. They've been there since last year. And for the ones that made the playoffs, Justin Herbert is a career playoff choker. He threw for four picks. He threw 4 picks against the Texans. 4! One of them was a tough deal. Receiver couldn't catch it, bounced up, Stingley pick. Tough, I get it. The other ones were like disgusting decisions. When the pressure's the brightest for these stat whores, they don't produce. They don't produce. And you can say what you want about the coaching, the roster around them. It plays a factor. But comparatively to Jalen Hurts, who's been to the Super Bowl 2 times in the last 3 years, well, sit the fuck back. They're not better than him. They're not. Tell me where 4,800 pass yards got Joe Burrow. The family suite in Cancun. That's where it got him. He's not playing on February 9th. He's not. He wasn't playing. He hasn't played a snap of football this year in the year of 2025. He has not played a 2025 snap. Has not. He's been in Cancun having his feet rubbed. Sam Darnold wet the bed live on national television. And you have the nerve to tell me, oh, I trust Sam Darnold over Jalen Hurts. Why? Why is that? Why do you trust him? Because he throws 40 times in a game? Cool. Guess what? He threw like 3 picks. Got sacked 10 times. He was seeing ghosts again. Jordan Love, another one. Against the Eagles, he threw 3 picks. Make it make sense. Dak Prescott. It was unfortunate. He got hurt. But Dak Prescott in the playoffs last year turned into a fucking pumpkin. And you want to say that these guys are better than Jalen Hurts? Jalen Hurts isn't a stat guy. He's I'm going to get it done and win you a championship guy. And that's ultimately what matters. Nobody's going to give a shit that Joe Burrow threw for 4,800 yards this year. They're not. They don't care. The only ones that care are the advanced analytics guys. They're not going to care. Joe Burrow's a good quarterback. But so is Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts doesn't have to throw for fucking 4,000 passing yards for him to be a good quarterback. He's made the Super Bowl 2 times in the last 3 years. 2 Super Bowls. 3 years. 4 years starting. Half of those, he is in the Super Bowl. Make it make sense. You tell me what I'm missing. You tell me. There's people out there that he's not even in the top 10 because his stats aren't as good as other guys. He made the Super Bowl 2 times in the last 3 years. What am I missing? You tell me. What am I missing? You tell me. What am I missing? I don't know. I don't know where it shifted, where, we cared more about how many yards and how many passes somebody threw over and the earnings per attempt, yards per pass, all this advanced analytic nonsense. where we just want to create a stat just to categorize guys. Y'all got me fucked up right now. See? It makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. They want to see how great Patrick Mahomes' numbers have been. His numbers have been ass all year. Nobody has batted a fucking eye. This has been the worst statistical year of Patrick Mahomes' career. They're not batting a fucking eye. Jalen Hurts' stats aren't up to snuff with everybody, and it's like, oh, this guy sucks. He's being carried. Well, we clearly saw against the fucking Commanders, you need Jalen Hurts in there to fucking win. We forced 5 turnovers against the fucking Commanders in December with Kenny Pickett. You know how many points we had off of turnovers? 6. All off of field goals. No touchdowns. You know how many points off of turnovers we had yesterday? 28. 28. Because of Jalen Hurts. That's the difference. Watch those 2 games. You'll understand why Jalen Hurts is better than a lot of quarterbacks. He can capitalize on opportunities. And even when the going gets tough, he has that short-term memory where it's like, forget about it, reset. It's a new start. Let's lock in. A lot of those guys don't have that. Sam Darnold doesn't have that, yet you trust him more. Does Jordan Love have that? He didn't against the Eagles when he threw 3 picks. Justin Herbert sure as shit don't have that. In fact, quite the opposite. You know, against the Jaguars when they blew a 27-point lead. All I'm trying to say is they make these guys out to be so good, so great, and they make our guy out to be like dog shit when it's the other way around. They throw for stats. Cool. They throw the ball all over the map. Cool. Do they win games? No. Have they been to the Super Bowl 2 out of the last 3 years? No. Justin Herbert, overpaid. Jordan Love, overpaid. Trevor Lawrence, we're not even going to talk about it. Overpaid. Dak Prescott, overpaid. They're all overpaid. The only $50 million quarterback to make the Super Bowl 2 times out of the last 3 years? Jalen Hurts. And I don't count Pat because the Chiefs restructure his contract and stuff. He's not in that class. I'm talking about the recent ones. Like over the last 2 years. All the guys that got money. It makes no sense. No sense. Give my guy respect. Thank you very much. Give him respect. We'll see you in New Orleans. We're going to finish the job this time. Okay, I'm off my soapbox now. I just wanted to, it's been a minute since we had that discourse, but all I want to say, we can't penalize a guy that's taken his team to the Super Bowl 2 times out of the last 3 years. We can't. Jalen Hurts is easily top 10. Clears. Easy. He should be top 5. Think about it like this, though. And, you know, Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen are top 5 quarterbacks. But think about if they got their team to the Super Bowl 2 times in the last 3 years. What would the narrative be? What would it be? I'll just leave that out there with y'all. Y'all can answer that. But all in all, great win for the Eagles. I went on a long tangent, but had a lot of thoughts. Had to catch y'all up with, you know, how we got here. We have one football game left. And we pretty much missed the whole run together. I'm sorry. This has been a great run together. And I'm catching y'all at the tail end because Lowe's hates my boy. And they hate me. I'm going to try to get him back for the playoffs. Kyle, if you're watching this, please, 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 the playoffs, Super Bowl. Please, bro, I need you next week for the Super Bowl preview, dog. All I ask. When you lay your head on that pillow at night. Oh, man. But, listen, as an Eagles fan, it feels really good. I believe that this team is better than the team that went 2 years ago, especially defensively. This is fundamentally the best Eagles defense I've ever seen. And yeah, we're still young. We're missing Nakobe Dean. Oren Burks has been huge. Not a sentence I thought I would say because we watched him get toasted last year in the Super Bowl, but he has been solid. He has been absolutely solid. A surefire tackler, has made plays. He forced fumble yesterday, had a forced fumble against Green Bay. He's just where he needs to be, and he's playing very well. Shout out Vic Fangio and the coaches for having him playing like this. He's not Nakobe Dean, but he's playing on Nakobe Dean level. He is. I never thought I would say Oren Burks is playing at Nakobe Dean level, but here we are. Here we are. Just goes to show you the job that the Howie and Nick did putting this coaching staff together in the offseason, paying dividends, and the roster as well, paying dividends. We have depth everywhere. Everywhere. So, yeah, it feels good. Sorry. Jeez. But yeah, I have a good feeling about this. The thing that got us last time is, we weren't able to stop the run very good, and the defense was very one-trick pony-esque in terms of, we were not as great in the back end, but our front end was so elite at getting sacks that, we only had to hold up for like a second or two. We weren't good when, the pass rush isn't getting there and the quarterback can kind of like, do their thing on the coverage. I think that's different here. We have a lot of great young talent, and both units work hand in hand, and it's been great. So we'll see. But that's the NFC Championship. That's my thoughts on the Eagles up until this point. I know I had to jam a lot in there. I went on a bit of a tangent, going off on Jalen. Some people really piss me off when they talk about the Eagles. And there's a lot of them. They don't give my guy the just due. And I'm going to take the opportunity with the floor clear to me without Kyle stepping in and be like, hey, but you got to listen to me about the numbers, kid. No. I'm driving the boat. I got the wheel. I'm driving the boat. He deserves a ton of credit for having this team 2 years, two times in the last 3 years in the Super Bowl, win or loss. Nobody else has done it other than Pat. No one else has done it. And same thing for Nick Sirianni. Listen, they're the gold standard in Philly now. Nick Sirianni's doing things Andy Reid didn't do here. 2 Super Bowls in the last 3 years. It's crazy, but we need to have a dialogue about Nick. That's all I'm going to say. All right, let's move on to the other game, the AFC Championship. Bills taking on the Chiefs in Arrowhead. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this game. I was watching it very loosely. A lot of America was rooting for Buffalo. And matchup-wise, it would have been nice to see us go up against Buffalo. I think we have the matchup advantages everywhere. But, Buffalo buffaloed. Ultimately they couldn't get the job done. There was a controversial 4th down where they clearly got it, and the refs reviewed it and said, no, you didn't, even though they did. Questionable, but hey, we all know how it goes with the Chiefs and the refs. Somehow, some way, the Chiefs continuing to win games, They have that championship DNA. Pat Mahomes was elite. He was running a lot on his legs. Put a lot out on film that is going to have Vic Fangio definitely in his bag. A lot to get ready for. It's a dangerous offense. The star power isn't there, but when you have Andy Reid drawing up plays, the sky's the limit. Xavier Worthy is a stealth weapon. Travis Kelce, you always have to worry about, but then you also have guys like DeAndre Hopkins, Hollywood Brown, who has been lackluster, but Hollywood Brown's still a quality guy, and fucking Juju Smith-Schuster, the ghost of TikTok, for whatever reason, still on the team. And the defense much the same as it's been the last couple years. You've lost guys over the years to contracts like L'Jarius Sneed. But they've had guys step up there, and Spags has a great defense. So yeah, they were just a better coached team in my opinion in this game. Buffalo had their opportunity situationally, and they got down in terms of chasing points early. I thought, they left like 3 or 4 points on the board, and obviously, as you see what the final score is, they lost by 3. That was the deciding factor in this game. If they take extra points rather than trying to go for 2 at times, the outcome might be different. You never know. But that just happens in the game. It is what it is. Buffalo's had a great season. They proved me wrong. I thought they were going to take a step back this year because the star power around Josh Allen wasn't what we thought it to be, but he got them playing good. Joe Brady had the offense playing good, and shout out to Sean McDermott. He had the defense playing really good too. Again, they lost a lot of key starters on that defense. We were saying, how can you lose half of your starting defense from last year and expect to be a good defense? Ask Sean McDermott. He did it with a lot of, unsung, unproven guys that stepped in the roles and made hay. They did. So shout out to the Buffalo Bills. The misery continues. You should not have traded Pat Mahomes draft pick to the Chiefs. And this is the football gods telling you, y'all shouldn't have done it. And y'all shouldn't have traded him Xavier Worthy too. Like, come on, bro. They did it this year. So yeah. Good win for Kansas City. And hey, listen, my thoughts in terms of playing opponents, I was indifferent on either one. Like, I feel like we can beat both of these teams. It's going to be a challenge. I'm not saying we're going to put fucking 50 on them like the Commanders. But it's going to be a tough challenge, but we have the roster to compete with both of those teams. We have the roster to compete with Kansas City. It's just a matter of coaching. That's really the difference. And we have the guys that in those positional positions, the positional coaches, they've made a world of difference. The coordinators have made a world of difference. And I feel like when we went 2 years ago, that was something that we didn't have up on the Chiefs. We had not that we didn't have great position coaches. Like we had good position coaches. Like Coach Wash, on the D line, Denard Wilson, the DB coach. I forget what the linebacker coach was that year. Was not Bobby King, that's for sure. But I just think the staff we have now is better, and you see it in the play. These guys play a much more fundamentally sound as a unit. And offensively, the mind of Kellen Moore is, it's like Pandora's box. It's endless possibilities. So we'll see. We'll see how it shakes out. We'll definitely talk about the matchup more in detail going into next week. But just wanted to kind of touch on these games as they happen, the final score, my thoughts on them, um, kind of thoughts going into the Super Bowl week with the winners. Um, and I really give it my thoughts for Kansas City, but I'll give them to you here real quick. Um, they have an opportunity to do something that's never been done in the NFL, and that's three-peat. And you know, it's that's history right there, and they're one step away from it. Um, not to say that we're gonna let them do that. We're definitely gonna go out swinging if they do end up doing that. But I truly believe in this Eagles team. I really do. It's a different team than a couple years ago. You know, a lot of the same faces, but very, very different teams. Um, I can tell you what, Miles Sanders had 13 yards rushing in the Super Bowl. Saquon Barkley ain't having 13 yards rushing in the Super Bowl. Ain't no fucking way, bro. No fucking way. The way he's been running, he might have 133. Oh, 113. He might have no lower than 113. Oh, man. I listen, that if he breaks a run like he did against Washington or against like the Rams, if he does that in the Super Bowl, I'm gonna lose my shit. Y'all don't understand. Like I'm gonna lose my shit. I've lost my shit all year. Because I remember, we sat up here and I'm like, man, that first Saquon Barkley long run is gonna hit like crack. Every single one is hit like crack, and they just keep hitting like crack more until we get to this game right here, Super Bowl. If he breaks like a fucking 70-yarder, God, what are we ever gonna do? What are we ever gonna do? But yeah, so that was championship weekend in the NFL. And yeah, it was great to be a part of and watch. A lot of great plays that happened. It was good. It was good. We'll talk about. Well, I want to touch on this briefly. I know Kyle's not here to really give his thoughts, but I'll give my thoughts because he's pretty negative Nancy when it comes to the Jets. But hey, the Jets have a new head coach. They do. Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator, former New York Jet himself, um, is the new head coach. And honestly, he's a defensive mind. Kyle's whole thing is, we need an offensive guy in here. We need an offensive guy in here. We need an offensive guy in here. I don't think it makes a difference because, as a head coach, you want a guy that's going to bring culture. He's going to bring an attitude, a swagger. I think Aaron Glenn does that, and he brings a much needed, like, stabilizing force for that Jets team. The shit that happened last year is not going to happen with Aaron Glenn. I don't think so. I think he brings a bring your lunch pail to work kind of attitude, blue collar. You're going to work hard. You're going to play hard. He's off the bite your kneecaps tree. And that's exactly what this Jets team needs. Defensive mind. So it fits the strength of the Jets. And the strength of the Jets over the last few years has been that defense. They have a lot of great young pieces there. Some good older pieces as well. But, there's going to be a little bit of a retool there. And the offense, the key is just getting a bright offensive coordinator in there that can run their system, almost like Washington did with Cliff Kingsbury and we did with Kellen Moore. That's really going to be the key. And then, with the quarterback situation as well, they might have to draft the guy if Aaron Rodgers isn't going to play. They honestly might be better off drafting a guy. Like they might have to go get like a Jalen Milroe or something. But that you have pieces like Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams. You have a pretty decent offensive line. Like you have pieces. You just need to find that right quarterback and right coaching mix. And I'm telling you, if the Jets nail this year, the Jets will be back. They will. I truly believe that. And I'm not saying that because I want Kyle to feel better and come back on the podcast, give him a little bit of hopium. That's my thoughts. It makes no sense for a team that talented to fall flat on their ass all season. It doesn't. It just makes no sense. It doesn't. On paper, they had a Super Bowl team, and they only won 5 games. Like, that's fucking crazy. It makes no sense. They should be at least an 8 or 9 win team next year. They should. I believe that. That's a hot take of mine. I believe they should be. Depends on who the quarterback is, but we'll see. See what goes there. But I think getting a guy like Aaron Glenn in the building is a step in the right direction. Woody Johnson also said, he kind of has to check himself in the mirror and be better as an owner. I agree. Get your paws off the wheel. That's how you get better. Let your football people do the football jobs. That's why Jeff Lurie is such a great owner. Robert Kraft. That's why these guys are such great owners. They let their football people do the football stuff. They don't get their hands dirty. And even Josh Harris and Magic Johnson, the Washington ownership group this year, they let their football people take care of it. Adam Peters, they let him cook. It wasn't like Josh Harris was at the wheel saying, "Oh, well, this guy's good in Madden. Let's trade for him," or "This guy sucks. Let's not draft him," or whatever. No, I mean you got to let your football people take care of that. You can't be hands in the cookie jar type owner. It doesn't work. So, so it's a good first step for the Jets, I think. Kind of retooling that team, kind of getting them back into playoff conversation. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, it's really all I have for this show. We'll be back next week to break down the matchup in detail. The Philadelphia Eagles, my Eagles, 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 against the Kansas City Chiefs. Once again, back again. Tell a friend. They're back in the Big Easy for Super Bowl 59. We'll break down the matchup in more detail next week. We'll have like the spread, the matchups. We'll give our thoughts and what we think is going to happen, give our winners and whatnot. Hopefully Kyle's back next week. I'm going to beg him like hell, and y'all should too. Make him feel bad that he's missed out, and this is the last podcast for the NFL season. Yeah. We need you, bro. We miss you. But yeah, no, it's gonna be a good game. I'm excited to see it as much as a lot of other people are. So yeah, this has been the Day One podcast. If you enjoyed, drop a like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. Whether on a boat, bus, plane, you can catch Day One podcast content anywhere. I am Kyle. I'm telling you to go to Sprint Mobile, Cricket Wireless, get yourself a phone with prepaid data or whatever, get your minutes, go get your podcast content, download it so you don't have to use the minutes. You can download anything these days. So quit being a bitch. Go down and get it. So yeah. Great show tonight. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. As an Eagles fan, we got one more. Job not finished. And, and we're gonna go get that. We're gonna go get that get back. We're gonna go get that get back. All right. With that being said, I am Anthony. I'm signing off. We'll see you guys later.